Hello and welcome to How to Buy a Vehicle. Now, first of all, I want to point out to everybody in the whole world that's watching this, maybe all 400 of you or one of you, I don't know. But this is how you buy a car, a truck, SUV, whatever it is that you want. And I live in Canada, so I'm going to be using Canadian prices of what things cost where I live. Also, this is the lowest sales taxed jurisdiction in Canada, so for you people that don't live in Alberta, you're going to pay a lot more sales tax, and you must pay the tail. This video is assuming nobody finances GST or HST or whatever you want to call it. That is the government sales tax. Blame Prime Minister Brian Mulroney for bringing it in. And it's just a way for rich people not to pay taxes and for all the poor people to pay it. And that's how I feel about that. So there you go. Now, we're talking about how to buy a car. But first, this is brought to you by Tostitos. Tostitos, restaurant-style baked lays. These are the best taco chips to use to make nachos during football season, which I have the ultimate nacho video coming up because Super Bowl is coming. It's 2025 and it's time to make some videos. So, how do you buy a car? Well, it's pretty simple. What do you want? You go online, you check all the websites, you see what the actual prices are for those bin numbers, you screenshot them, you put them on your phone, and you go to the dealership to make sure that car that they're advertising is actually that price. That's right, because hey, you can always buy online, but you know what? You got to go see what you're going to get. And if you're not going to take the time to go see what you're going to get, you're going to get ripped off. It's as simple as that. All you Tesla people out there getting ripped off. But you know what? I don't care. If you want to buy a Tesla, go buy one. They're crappy, but go buy one. So, this is how you buy a car. You must understand if you're a first-time car buyer, second-time car buyer, third-time car buyer, 0% financing is a rip-off. Okay? It's a rip-off. You think it's a great deal, but it is not. 0% leasing is a fantastic deal if they have 0% leasing, but you just got to remember, these 0% things come with MRSP. There's no discounts. And forget about it. Now, there was a time a few years ago, a phenomenon. What was that? There was a phenomenon. I'm going to say that word. I don't know where those things are coming from. There was a situation that happened a few years ago, back in 2021, 2022. This is called pandemic and nobody traveling. Nobody doing anything. Very few people spending money. Everyone saving money. Nobody really knew what was going on. So I can personally speak right now, today, at the filming of this video. I know 5 people. One person going to Hawaii for 6 weeks. One person going to Mexico for 6 weeks. Another person going to Costa Rica for 6 weeks. Okay? These people back in 21 and 22 went nowhere. They did not travel, they did not spend, but they had money. Okay, they're still working or retired or whatever, and they wanted a new vehicle. Because guess what? Can't spend money on anything else. Let's go. Well, guess what? The manufacturers didn't anticipate this. The manufacturers had their own supply problems. So when you went down to buy something, there was nothing there. And so the prices went up. And there still was nothing there. You ordered it. You waited a year or didn't get it. I mean, after a year, people, oh, that's it. I'm not doing it. I know someone that waited 2.5 years for their plug-in hybrid Lexus. 2.5 years. Just said, no, I'm just going to wait for it. And they waited. And they now have a plug-in hybrid. So, How do you buy a car in today's market, which is not like these people said back in 20. I'm going to go buy a Tesla and sell it for $20,000 more after I've driven it for 5 years. If you're going to buy a Model Y, which only goes 480 kilometers on a charge, but you can charge at 200 kilowatt hours all over the place, you're probably going to buy one, even though I would never buy one. The interiors, you don't give me vent control and a driver screen, driver display, I'm not buying your car. I don't care how cheap it is. Simple as that. My preference. If that's what you want, go get yourself a deal, because there are deals. And in the used market is back. So you want to go buy a car? Let's get back to business, because this is what it was like for the last 70 years, other than that phenomenon. What are those things and why do they keep showing up? Anyways, the situation that happened for a very short period of time, which does not exist today, because people are traveling and doing things. So you want a car, you need a car. Well, first things first, if you're a first-time car buyer, second-time car buyer, third-time car buyer, it doesn't really matter. If you're going out buying a car, you have to decide what you want. I personally test drive 5 or 6 different models in the category I want. Say I want a truck, I'll go I'll go drive an F-150 in the trim I want. I tell them right up front, I'm not buying this truck today. Don't even try and sell me. Then I go and I'll drive a Dodge. I'll go drive a Silverado. I'll go drive a whatever Toyota makes, but it'll be really expensive and I won't buy it. But I'll go buy whatever they got. Same size, same options. If I go to the dealership and they don't have any of those sizes or options, I'll just go to a different dealership. It's as simple as that. I want to buy a Ford F-150 Lightning XLT. I'm going to go to my favorite dealership that I've bought 15 cars off of, and if they don't have one right now, I'll make them get me one. Okay? I'm not going somewhere else. It's as simple as that. They take care of me. They don't charge me extras. They don't do anything. They know how I like to buy cars. I bought 15 of them in the last 10, 11 years. I've probably bought 25, 30 cars between everybody. I do 35 to 40,000 kilometers a year. And when you're driving a gas vehicle and you're doing 40,000 kilometers a year, it does not last very long. Because the maintenance costs go through the roof. And you can't afford to break down. When you're doing that kind of kilometers, you cannot afford to break down. And this is why I constantly buy new cars. So this is a long way to say, let's get into how you buy a car. Now you have to say to yourself, how much money do I want to spend? Not monthly payment, people. You start talking monthly payments, these bi-weekly people will get you faster than, it's only $123 bi-weekly. It's $285 bi-weekly. Well, you got to remember, if you're doing bi-weekly, you're making 2 extra payments a year. Okay? That's not 12 payments a year. That's 26 payments. Okay? 12 divided by 2 is 24. Not 26. You do bi-weekly, you're making 26 payments a year. Why would you do that? I have no understanding of that. But I'm in my 60s and I've been through this, and young people don't get it. I want it now, I want it now. Well, guess what? Used cars are all over the place and they're a really good price. Simple as that. Metro Ford gives a 30-day warranty on all their used vehicles. You buy it, anything goes wrong in 30 days, they fix it for free. I know someone that it's happened to. And poof, they just brought it in, fixed it for free. Here, your car. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. You're going to go out and buy a car. What are you going to do? Decide what you want and how much you want to spend. So let's say, for argument's sake, we're going to use that you are going to take out a $30,000 loan. Okay? That's how much you're going to borrow. You're not going to borrow any more than $30,000. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what kind of options you want to add in. The 3M, the mud flaps, the blah, 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 the blah, 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 the blah, 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 the GST. The loan, 30,000.00, or you leave. Okay? Simple as that. And if you start focusing on the interest rate, well, you're just going to get ripped off, and I'm going to show you why right now. And this little box right here is showing a Ford Bronco Sport. I'm going to use a Ford Bronco Sport or something like, or maybe, yeah, Ford Bronco Sport. Look how much they're giving you off. Okay? Let's take a look at how much that actually is going to cost you. Now, this website advertises everything in. The only thing you got on top of that is GST, and you got to have that in cash. And if you don't have it in cash, you're not buying a $35,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. You're buying $20,000 or less. Okay? If you have zero down, you cannot spend more than $20,000 all in on a car. That means you got to buy a used one. Okay? Simple as that. Buy a used one. Simple, just a used one. And $20,000, nothing more. All in, 20 grand. And I'm going to explain to you why. So, let's say you're going to go out and buy a car. Number one, you know what you want. Number two, you go, okay, I'm only going to borrow 30 grand. And there's a reason for this. You cannot take a loan for more than 4 years. And I'm going to explain why. 5-year loans are an absolute waste of money. Anything over 4 years is almost all interest. And I'm going to explain to you why right now. So let's say you're going to borrow $30,000 for 48 months. And your interest rate is 5%. How much is that? That's $690.88 a month. Okay? A month. And honestly, if you can't afford that, you shouldn't be borrowing $30,000. Simple as that. A $20,000 loan is $460 a month. Oh, I'll do $460. The difference isn't that much. So you have to say to yourself, I can afford this. Remember, it's only for 4 years. And this is the other kicker. Because it's only for 4 years, this is where it really works out for you. So I'm going to do $30,000, 48 months at 5%, $690.88. Well, what if it's 6%? Because there's 5 to 6%. Well, that'd be $704.55. $13. $13 a month difference for the 1% interest rate. Honestly, if you're not buying a car because of that, you should not be buying the car you're thinking of buying. Just leave. Go home and think about it. It's not that important to fucking sign right now. So, $30,000. So I'm going to explain something to you. A lot of people want to do 5-year loans or 6-year loans or 7-year loans. You should not ever do that. Now, $50,000 loan, let's just jump from 30 to 50, is $1151.46 a month at 5%. That's a lot of money. That's way more than $690. 50 grand. If you're buying a car for $50,000, first of all, you'll be putting some money down if you have that kind of money, $10,000, $15,000, and you're buying a $65,000 car. You can afford $1,200 a month. You can afford it. And remember, you got to pay all the GST up front. But here's the difference on $30,000. Let's say you got to do the 30. I'm going to go 5 years. I got to go 5 years, man. Got to go 5 years. The payment's too much. Well, 5% interest on a $30,000 loan is $566.14. Okay? That's only $124.74 a month difference. So you're telling me I'm going to go 5 years for $125 a month. You are not budgeting correctly, and you should not be buying this brand new car. It's as simple as that. You need to buy a low kilometer used car, regardless of what it is, and save money. So you can afford it. And have 20 grand down when you buy the car instead of nothing. Because nothing down and 0% interest is a boondoggle. Hey, it's great for the dealerships and the manufacturers. It's terrible for you consumers. Okay? Just terrible. You want to do it, but I wouldn't. So what does that mean? I went 5 years instead of 4 years, and this is why I tell people 4 years. It's $124.74 a month, but the interest difference is $806.04 on 5% interest. That means 6.5 of your payments for the next year, because you went one more year, is all interest. And if you do it at 6%, okay, say it's 6% on 30 grand over 5 years, okay, that's a $124.57 difference. The payment is $579.98 at 6% instead of 5% over 5 years. And you're like, oh, I can afford $580. 7.8 months is interest, almost 8 months. You took the loan out for an extra 12 months and 8 months is just interest. You didn't pay anything off. Why are you doing that? Why are you taking that extra year and paying all that money? You shouldn't be buying the car. It's as simple as that. $30,000 is the sweet spot. I just always keep telling people, borrow $30,000 over 4 years only. And the reason I use 4 years buying a car, unless it's 0% leasing. And what that means is they're selling you a car for 50 grand, that's the MSRP. They're leasing it to you for 3 years for 20,000 kilometers a year, and it's 0% interest. 0% interest on your payments and 0% interest on the value at the end. This was around for a while. It was wonderful. 0%. 3-year lease, just give it back. 3-year lease, zero. It didn't cost you anything to borrow that money. That was amazing. Those are gone. They don't exist anymore. That was a phenomenon. Is up with those things. That was very short-lived. It's just an anomaly that happened in the last 70 years that doesn't exist in the car market. Remember, I want you to really write this down and think about it, okay? Coming in close. I'm coming in close. Cars depreciate 47 to 54% in the first 4 years. What? 50%? 50% in 4 years. You buy a $60,000 car in 4 years, not going over 20,000 kilometers a year. It's only worth 30. That's all it is. It's only worth 30. That's what the dealership can sell it for, is 30. So they're only going to give you 25 or 24 or 22. Okay, you got windshield need to replace, some scratch and dents. You know? So 50% in 4 years, you know this is going to happen. So one, you need to have your GST money up front and quite frankly another $5,000. And if you can't save that in a reasonable length of time, you should not be buying a brand new car. If you're doing 000, the car loan cannot be more than $20,000 and it cannot be more than 4 years. If you do this, you will stick yourself in a financial pickle that you will never get out of. And you'll try and do all kinds of things to solve it, but at the end of the day, you just owe, and you never get out of it. And you end up driving really terrible cars, like Hyundais. Like, I don't know if they're terrible. I think they're terrible, but maybe they're okay. My neighbor has one, says they're fantastic. But my nephew bought one and it blew up on him on the highway after 6 months. Anyways, stay away from those. Maybe they'll change over time, but right now, I'm not buying one. So at $20,000, 48 months, at 5%, your payment's $460.59. It's under $500. And it's for 4 years. So can you pay $500 a month for 4 years for a car? Okay, so if you can do that, that's what you do. Right now, every dealership in every city across North America has tons of used cars. I mean, they're just piled up. Some of them have 500, 600, 700 of them. Okay, that they took on trade-in, that they got a deal. So you go look at something with low kilometers, they'll give you a warranty without charging you for this extended warranty. If they're going to charge you for the extended warranty, don't buy it. Because it's a third-party warranty, and I'm going to tell you, 90% of the time they don't cover. Okay, they just don't cover. And go out and get yourself a vehicle that's under $20,000 all in. Because you're not putting any money down. That means your payment will be $460 a month, and in 4 years it'll be paid for. And believe it or not, regardless of the age, that $20,000 vehicle will still be worth maybe 10 grand. And then you take that and you go get that $35,000, $40,000 vehicle that you wanted. You got 10 grand down, plus you saved a little bit of money, so you're 15 grand down, and you're only doing a $30,000 loan. Again, for 4 years. And the reason I'm harping on this 4-year thing and want everyone to do this so they have financial success going forward, because there's nothing like having a brand new car that's 4 years old with 60K on it or 70K on it, kilometers, 80,000 kilometers on it at 4 years, 50,000 miles, and it's paid for. And you're going, I don't need it. This is great. This is working out well. And you just keep driving. You keep driving. And of course, if you run into me at that time, I'll say, well, you know, that $500 payment, are you still making it? No. Keep making it. Put it in a separate account. Put it in your TFSA. Do whatever you want to do with it. Keep paying it, because eventually that car's wheels are going to fall off. Like my truck. My Dodge Ram 1500, 365,000 kilometers I put on that thing. So, that's how you buy a car. $30,000 loan, 4 years, 5 or 6%. If it's greater than that, go find something else. Seriously. Brand loyalty when they're hosing you at 9%. You know, I went to go buy a RAV4 a few years ago, and they wanted 8.99%. Okay? A hybrid RAV4. I bought a Ford Escape hybrid because it was at 1.99% and $11,000 cheaper, which is still in the driveway today. A long since paid for. I'm not paying 9% because it's a Toyota. If it was 1.99 and the prices were fairly similar, I would have bought the RAV4 because my wife wanted a RAV4. But 9%? Are you kidding me? The greater the term, the more payment that goes to interest. And if it's 9%, holy macaroni, you got bad credit or something's going on. So this is how you buy a car. 1, decide how much you want to borrow and what that payment is. Figure it out beforehand. Know what your interest rate is, 5 to 6%. If it's over 6%, don't do it. And in this environment that's going on in 2025, you should be able to get a 6% loan. Shouldn't be a problem. 0% means MRSP. And when everything is $20,000 off or $5,000 off or whatever it is, depending on the vehicle, you will never, ever get that money back for the 0% financing. Just to give you an idea right now, to finish this off, you're going to take the 0. You're getting $8,500 off a car, MRSP, okay? And you're going to put the rest of the money down, so you only have a $30,000 loan. Even if it's a $50,000 loan for 48 months, okay? The interest is $5,270 at 5%. $5,200. They're giving you $8,500 off, and you're only paying $5,200 in interest. Why in the world would you throw that money away? You get the discount and you get the loan at 5%. Okay? Simple as that. Between 5 and 6%. Do not go over 6% in this market that we're in. If it's more than that, it's not worth buying. Oh, hey, if you got tons of money and it doesn't really matter, go do whatever you want. You know, when I bought my Lightning, I knew it was coming out. I saved for 5 years. That's right, people. I put $900 a month in an account for my Lightning for 5 years. Because I knew it was going to be, you know, around that 80 grand mark. And I was like, whoo, whoo, whoo. I don't even want to calculate the payment if it's 80 grand. I don't even want to know. But there was no way I could make that payment. I'm not that kind of person. I just can't do it. I'll just move on. I'll buy something else. Simple as that. So thank you for tuning in on how to buy a car. Okay? The last thing is, if you live in the United States, there's certain areas that are offering incredible lease deals. Did you see this video here in the little box?
Where in Colorado it's possible to lease a free car.
These people here got a 500E, zero cheap, $100 a month lease kind of thing. Do not do this. These are not deals. 500Es are in Canada are $42,000 cars that go, just hang on a second here, let me look it up, 240 kilometers. This is how far a 500E goes, 240 kilometers, and they're 40 grand. And they got them on sale for 35 or something like that in Canada. I don't know what they are down in the States, but I'm just telling you right now, a vehicle that only goes 240 kilometers is unacceptable for that kind of money. And they are cheap. I went and looked at one. I wouldn't buy one. That kind of money for that range, ridiculous. 0% leasing, you're giving your hard-earned tax dollars that you're paying to the government to that dealership instead of going in your pocket. This is ridiculous. Why are you giving your tax money to a dealership for a 0% lease? You're getting boondoggled, people. You're paying that tax. You think, oh, I'm getting in for zero. No, you're not. You're overpaying for a vehicle to get a 3-year lease at $0 or $100 or whatever it is. But you're giving the dealership $7,500 federal tax credit, a $5,000 state credit, and probably a city credit or something like that. All those credits add up that are supposed to go into your pocket for buying the car, go to the dealership. So they get to sell you an overpriced, boondoggled car. Because they're not competing with all these rebates. Just say, well, I'm going to sell it to you for 50 grand because the government's going to give me $15,000 of your taxes instead of you getting the $15,000. Well, no, that's a $35,000 car and you know it. If it's 15 grand in rebates, that's a $35,000 car. But you're paying 50. And then they give it to zero and you, well, I'm just going to give it back. But you threw away $15,000 of your tax money. You gave it to the government. The government gave it to the dealership. Why did you just going to drive into a dealership and give them $15,000 and get nothing for it? I can go down right now, get a Ford F-150 XLT for $59,000. Why would I give them $15,000? I want the $15,000 back to me, and I'll put it down on a discounted vehicle, not an MRSP vehicle. This is the most ridiculous, disgusting thing I've ever seen of how dealerships are boondoggling people and stealing their tax money. The tax money goes to the government or it comes back to you. You don't give it to somebody else. Ridiculous. I see this and I'm like, oh, phenomenon. Those pink things again. This is going to be very short-lived, and everyone's going to talk about how great it is, and then it's going to go away, and then there's just going to be all these used cars in 3 years. And let me tell you, if they're any good, if these used cars that they've got these really cheap leases on and stuff, if these cars are any good at all and are worth owning, they're going to be so cheap 3 years from now. You're going to pick them up for 10 grand. I mean, seriously, you're going to get them for nothing. But honestly, the 01 on the 500E, nobody's keeping those. Nobody is going to keep those. Way too expensive. And then 240 range on a day like today that's minus 15, 120 if you're lucky. If you're stuck in the city in traffic, you're down to 80 kilometers. 50 miles. That's all you're going to get out of those is 50 miles when it's cool out. That's all you're going to get. They're Florida and California cars. Southern, Florida and Southern California cars where it doesn't get cold, where it stays warm all the time. That's that market, and that market isn't going to buy that. So thank you for tuning in on how to buy a car. The recap is, do not borrow more than $30,000 in our current environment. Do not take a loan for more than 4 years. If you do, you're just paying it in interest. You're not really saving it. You're just paying interest. You're actually not saving yourself any money or doing yourself any favors. And the car's older with more kilometers on it. It's worth less. Get it paid for in 4 years. Save your money. If you don't have money down, do not spend more than $20,000 on a car. Do not borrow more than 20 grand. And it should be a 6% rate. If it's higher than 6%, move on. Okay? Just move on. It does not need to be higher than that. If you have really bad credit, it will be higher than that. Fix your credit. Okay? Fix your credit. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the very, 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 very cold weather. There's a Chinook coming where I live, which means warm winds are coming over the mountains to warm us up. And we're going to have a great weekend. And I'll see you in the future.